control the environment in such a way that the people who work don't get unemployed, can't feed their families, and therefore revolt, and the rest of us fat cats who are in YPO and have achieved great success are not put aside through a revolution. Now, the capitalist system is created by people who create jobs. Now, can you tell me that those of us who have created companies would create jobs if we couldn't create wealth? If we couldn't create more bathrooms? You only have one living room. You only have one kitchen. You only have one library. Maybe you got 2 or 3 houses, but you don't have 30. But you got 8 bathrooms. So when you get down to it, everybody's very quick to share everybody else's wealth. But most of these people who are sharing everybody else's wealth are not prepared to give away theirs. Because why should we have 6 telephones in one house and only 1 in another? Everybody should be equal. But the capitalist system is the best that people have ever created. There is no system that allows everybody to have the same number of televisions and the same number of cars. That is the goal. And 200 years from today, God willing, if things don't get destroyed in the meantime, and we'll get to that, hopefully poverty will lessen, people will have more TVs and bathrooms, and there'll be less people uneducated. But that's the goal. We're only 200 years old. And there's still a huge infrastructure in the world of people who are poverty-stricken, run by poor governments, etc. So we think of ourselves, we weren't supposed to be here, facing what we're facing in terms of terrorism. We came out of the Cold War, America. We were wonderful, but we're not so wonderful. We have a lot of problems. We have a lot of things that have to be done, but the world has multiplicity more. By the way, in 1946, they passed the Full Employment Act. You never hear about that. The Full Employment Act runs this Congress and runs this government. The Full Employment Act says, forget the rhetoric on the media, it says government only has 2 things to concern itself with other than defending the nation. Those 2 things are unemployment and inflation. You will notice when inflation is going up, interest rates are rising, fiscal policy and monetary policy attempts to bring inflationary rates down, and when there's unemployment, what does the government try to do? Make unemployment go down. Why? That's its function, to prevent revolution and feed people. But one of the things that inhibits that is the constant attack on the ability of corporations to be motivated by greed. Because, see, there's legal greed and there's moral greed. And there's illegal greed and immoral greed. And illegal greed should be persecuted to the full extent of the law, and immoral greed should be full extent to the full extent of moral punishment. But without motivation to win a tennis game, without motivation to create a better life, you would not be sitting in this room. But instead, we attacked IBM. We attacked Big Telephone. We attacked Microsoft. We attacked the big guys who were successful. I attended a meeting many years ago with the head of U.S. Steel. You could hardly get a meeting with them. They thought they were U.S. Steel. Competition, government, tariffs, changes. What happened to U.S. Steel? It's no longer what they thought they were. It is easy for politicians to attack the backbone of the country because corporations are pieces of paper, they don't vote. Do you give up authority in your business? No. Many of you, female or male, may not give up authority in your families. Do you give up, in the early stages, complete control of your businesses to your children? Or do you gradually, or in some process, or in some way? Why should America give up control over its destiny. It's just one big family of people. We're all Americans. We're all a family. It's just a bigger family. But the politics would make you think, we are these bad guys. We're these bad guys. No one's ever created anything better. But who sings the praises? Very, very few people. And you know the strange thing about it is today, all the stocks are owned by the people. But they attack the corporations as if they're attacking some entity. But you own all the stocks. The people own all the stocks. So they're really attacking the people in order to get votes in. It's a very serious problem. Do we get rid of the laws and the police? No. So why should we get rid of our armies and our defense? You think the world people are different than our own criminals here? Criminals are a given part of life, and they're not going away. I've been involved in biotechnology investments for a long time. The failure rate, I won't even begin to tell you, it's 98%. If you're lucky, you create a successful drug for $1.5 billion, if you're lucky. And if you're lucky to get through all the phases, it takes you 10, 12, 15 years to create one drug. But we want to take away the profitability of drug companies because they don't vote. So the net effect is, just like we'll have less effective doctors and less educated doctors, we'll have less intelligent people wanting to work in the drug companies because people don't work out of altruism in most cases. Do any of you know, in the last 58 years, how many of those years have been a deficit? Just give me a guess. Jason, you know these things. Yeah, you're right, Jason. You're real close. 46 years. Now, if you picked up the newspaper, you would think, we have this deficit. Oh my gosh. But the fact of the matter is we always have a deficit except for very few years. We are entering into, and we'll be quick about this and move forward to the important stuff, but the technology, the downturn in technology was an extraordinary phenomenon. Things got too quickly, too fast, too high. Saturation occurred in various industries more quickly than it ever happened before in refrigerators or appliances and everything else. But as we sit here today, we haven't even begun to realize, most of us, the enormity of the technological revolution that the world is facing. You go overseas and you turn on the television, you see CNN, you oh, CNN, right? Everybody sees the same news today. You want Al Jazeera, you go click, 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 and you have Al Jazeera. It's endless what's becoming available. The integration of services that people are going to be using means that the fortunes that have been made in technology are only very, very beginning. Now, this is probably a misplaced card, but I will just say this to you quickly, okay? If you don't learn one thing about estates, learn that you can't pick the right trustee. That if you put effort into anything, if you have to have trustees, put your thought into who that trustee will be and why. Because a whole lifetime of planning and wealth accumulation, if you don't keep it or give it away or whatever, if you have trustees, very difficult to pick good ones. Now we're going to get to investments, okay? Many years ago, I worked for a man by the name of Gerald M. Loeb. Does anybody know who he was? Gerald M. Loeb wrote a book called The Battle for Investment Survival. He wrote that book in the 1930s. And I was laying in the trenches of Fort Dix. It was raining. I was shooting some rifle, and it was an M something in those days. It was not an M9. I was shooting some rifle, and a Jeep comes up, and he says that this very important man has a telegram. So they got this telegram, and they brought me in, and they said that I was this good student at CCNY, and they want to give me a job at Gerald M. Loeb. Well, Gerald M. Loeb was the senior partner of V.F. Hutton and Company.